Hello friends, today I have a special treat for all of you. We are going to be taking a look at the Georgia Aquarium. So, I've been to Atlanta a few times before, and I think that this is hands down the best thing that you can possibly do in the city. The aquarium is massive, and the whale sharks are an amazing experience. As per usual, we are going to learn a little bit about the place, see what the experience is like, and find out if this is something for you. Let's go! Alright, history and info. The Georgia Aquarium opened in November of 2005 thanks to a $250 million donation from Bernie Marcus, the co-founder of Home Depot, and his wife Billie Marcus, along with a couple of other donors. Today, it boasts a whopping 11 million gallons of water, making it one of the largest aquariums in the world. In addition to being a tourist attraction, the aquarium is also a scientific institution that educates the world and acts as a leader in aquatic research and exceptional animal care. At the time of this video, the tickets are actually a little pricey at $36.95 for general admission. I guess that's just the cost for visiting one of the world's largest aquariums. That being said, I think it is completely worth the price for what we are about to see inside. So my brother, sister, and I each got a general admission ticket online the night before, and we started to make our way inside the aquarium. Once you are inside, you are presented with this giant atrium with all of the exhibits laid out in a ring around it. There are some really cool light panel installations that change color from various blues all the way to rainbow. Going forward, I will be using this map here to give you an idea of where we're headed and where things are located. Side note, at the time of this video, this map that you see here is the latest one that the aquarium has posted on its website. However, it's out of date because this video is being made in 2021 and that map shows an expansion for 2020. And the reason I call this out is because that expansion is the shark exhibit, and that's where we are headed next. Some signs told me that this is one of the largest and most dynamic shark exhibits in North America, and I believe it. The size of the exhibit was massive, with floor-to-ceiling windows and viewing panels everywhere. I could get a nice clear view of all of the sharks, and there were quite a few. There were also some signs talking about the challenges that sharks face, like overfishing and habitat loss. It really makes me sad to see how misunderstood these animals are, but I was happy to see all of the conservation efforts that are taking place to protect these species. But now on to River Scout. There's no need to complicate things. It was a short walk over, and then we arrived at the River Scout. I think this place had the coolest theme of everything in the aquarium. The place is decorated with waterfalls and log jams with creatures left, right, above, and below, all while staying on brand to the river that flows around you. And in this river, there were all these tiny and bright colored fish everywhere. As appropriately named, these were all varieties of rainbow fish. There were also piranhas and some other weird looking fish with really long noses and bodies. It was kind of strange. Oh, and speaking of long noses and bodies, there were also a lot of alligators floating around. From the lower level, you got this pretty cool angle with them above you. You pretty much never see gators like this, but once you go to the upper level, you can see quite a bit more of them, but from the normal angle that my Floridian self is used to. And the albino alligators were a pretty cool change of pace. I don't think I've ever seen one of those before, and it was really neat. Overall, I think the thing that stood out to me the most was this crazy looking turtle. It's called an alligator snapping turtle, and after Googling this for a bit, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had seen this before. Beluga whales. As the name suggests, this exhibit has the coldest water in the entire aquarium, and it is home to sea otters, the aforementioned beluga whale, penguins, and a whole bunch of other critters. Dude Bro was having a great time swimming circles around the tank and spinning around the water. I don't have this on video, but I did watch him accidentally headbutt the glass as he was coming out of the spin. He kinda looked a little surprised, but then continued floating around the tank. I think he was embarrassed. So that was a missed moment, but I do have a gentle boop for you. Overall, the display was really nice, and it has a lower and upper level, so I recommend checking out both to get different vantage points. The penguin exhibit was a whole lot of fun. Penguin! And I think it was my favorite exhibit in this area. At first, there were a few penguins here and there hanging out on the rocks, but then something happened. This door opened in the back and a flood of penguins just started rushing out. It went from like 10 penguins to 50 and we could not be more excited. Even though the penguins were my favorite, that's not to say that there weren't other great things around. There were a bunch of sea otters playing with toys and getting their lunch, and there were some cute little puffins swimming through the water and hopping around as their place was getting cleaned. For some less mainstream critters, there were also giant Japanese spider crabs. As far as crabs go, these things were huge. Picture them being the size of like a medium-sized dog. They were crazy to look at because they were right next to you on the other side of the glass. And for the smaller side of things, we had sea dragons. They gently glided through the water and seemed to mind their own business. They looked strange and delicate and reminded me of real-life Pokemon. It was wild. But now onto something more tropical. If you have ever seen Finding Nemo or have walked into a saltwater fish store before, you'll know what to expect here, and it is beautiful. There is a large glass display that shows off a coral reef with rainbow-colored fish dancing all around. Above you, you can hear the waves crashing, and it really feels like you're experiencing their world. Oh, and while you are taking in the sights, make sure to also snag a few good pics of yourself here. Even though the lighting can be a little weird at times, overall it's a pretty nice spot. As you continue on with the exhibit, there are a bunch of smaller displays so you can get your fix of clownfish, some coral, lionfish, all kinds of eels, and jellyfish. The jellyfish were really pretty because of the backlights in the tank, which brought out the natural colors of the jellyfish themselves. My sister caught me staring blankly at the tank because I was mesmerized with their movements. It's slow and methodical and just fascinating to watch. Oh, and speaking of fascinating. So I am a little sad to say that I didn't plan the trip that well and we were double booked, so we couldn't go to Pier 225. But I have gone to this show in the past and I can say that it is well worth it. When I went a few years ago, the show was interactive. You learned a bunch about how intelligent sea lions are and the various conservation efforts going on to protect the species. There is also a splash zone, so if you want to get soaking wet and then walk around in the air conditioning, you do you. But even though we couldn't see the sea lions on this trip, I did mention that we were double booked, and that other event was the dolphin celebration. This show is a mix of fun marine facts, a live training demonstration, and talking about the aquarium's efforts to protect this species. When you first walk in, you are brought into this massive arena that has 5 screens laid out in the shape of a shell over a large body of water. That tank holds something stupid like 1.8 million gallons of water. It is huge. Like most shows, there was no photography or videos allowed, so unfortunately that is where my footage stops, but I can talk a little bit about what goes on. A dolphin trainer comes out on stage and introduces the audience to the performers, tells us a little bit about the bottlenose dolphins, and then the show begins. The dolphins do all kinds of tricks, like having the trainer stand up and surf on them. The dolphins speak and jump on command, and they're told to splash the first few rows of the audience. If you're sitting in the splash zone, you will get absolutely soaked, so plan accordingly. And to wrap up that whole performance, the dolphins do this massive leap into the air to touch a ball that's suspended above the tank. They easily reach 25 to 30 feet above the water to touch that ball, and you can see all of the rippling muscles that they used to achieve that. It was really impressive. And with the end of that show, we moved on to what I consider is the main event, the whale sharks. I've mentioned a lot of favorites in the aquarium, but I truly think that this is my favorite place. The Ocean Voyager exhibit is home to whale sharks, manta rays, turtles, Goliath groupers, and thousands of other fish. There is a 100-foot-long acrylic tunnel and a people mover, so you feel like you are part of their world with them. I didn't realize this at the time, but there are over 4,500 square feet of acrylic viewing windows weighing about 185 tons, all to contain a crazy 6.3 million gallons of water. The engineer in me is just baffled about how they managed to pull all of this off, and what they pulled off was spectacular. Walking through the tunnel is a surreal experience because you get to see the ocean life and their environment all around you. You look to the left and you see fish, and you look to the right and there's a giant sea turtle, and you look above and there's a glimpse of a whale shark. Alright, here's the moment we've been waiting for. The tunnel eventually comes to an end, and you walk down a small hallway, and then you're presented with this massive room and a full view of the whale sharks. Jennifer, what do you think of the whale sharks? I am really glad that she liked it because it is my favorite part of the aquarium. I could sit here for hours and just stare at them swimming around. My brother really liked them too, so we all just hung out there for about 15 minutes and then we were on our way. Every time I visit the aquarium, I am left in absolute awe to the natural beauty and the diversity of animals living in our oceans. I could just stop and stare at the whale sharks for hours and just soak in their massive size and their graceful movements. The aquarium has renewed in me a sense for conservation and a desire to learn more and appreciate the animal world around me, because if we don't protect things now, there won't be anything left to protect in the future. But on a more positive note, it was amazing to see these creatures up close and see what they're like. From the penguins to the sharks to the sea lions and the dolphins, it was a wonderful experience that I think everyone should have once in their life. For me, this experience is a resounding 10 for 10, and I hope you all feel the same way. So leave a comment below if you have been here before or want to plan a trip. I would love to hear all about it. And if you want to check out another adventure I went on, I recently went to the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, and you can click on that card at the end of this video. Before I go, you know the drill, smash that like and subscribe button, and check out the links to the gear that I use in the description down below. But for now, good luck, have fun, peace.